Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have an excellent game to share with you from 1988. On the white end, Alexander Beliavsky playing against Garry Kasparov. Alright, in this one here, we observe more than one really beautiful move. And this comes out of a Grunfeld defense. We'll eventually see this turns into an opposite sides castles game. Queen b3 here signals the Russian variation, increased pressure on d5. We get the capture on c4, castles, and from here, white has the central majority, starts to roll. Knight a6 signals the Prins variation. Why to the edge like this? Doesn't want to obstruct any pieces or pawns, maybe, is a way to view it. Black is shooting for c5, so the knight is there supporting this advance. If you're on c6, you get in the way of the c-pawn, d7 in the way of the bishop. Knight goes to the edge in this one, and sure enough, swings the bat completely around. c5 on board, challenging white's center. White's response here is d5. If there's a capture on c5, black can continue development with tempo. Queen b5, rook c8, looking to simply regain the pawn. If bishop e3, there's a bothersome knight g4, rook d1, there's queen c7 with increased pressure on c5. All right, white's approach here is to meet c5 with d5. Invasive pawn immediately challenged. In comes a pin. Get the capture on d5. More pressure on this pinned knight. Pin thrown right back at team white here. We get queenside castles. Bishop takes knight. Rook takes. No time to take the rook. Dropping our queen. Queen b6. I really like the queen play in particular by black in this one. What is she doing here on b6? Well, first of all, we're out of the pin, and black has his eye already on a sensitive point here, b7. Excuse me, b2. What do you do now? This is a threat. White's response is to take the knight. Now, I was wondering about this. Why was white so quick to give up this dark square bishop for the knight? Well, what other options are there? For instance, if we consider rook d2, this is irritating. Queen to c6. Let's just put this on. What's white's wonderful move now against this threat? If you try and hang on to e4, knight b4 is pretty irritating. If you push the pawn, the knight will still dive into e4, and I guess in the end, we're still looking at tracking down that dark square bishop. So white's approach to queen b6 is to swipe the knight. Battery now formed. And there's only one way, one good way, to defend this threat on b2. White plays it. It's e5. These other options, for instance, queen c2 would run into knight b4 with the fork. And also rook d2 would run into bishop h6 with a pin. So in this position, it's e5. Queen takes a step up, challenged right away. And the queen from here goes all the way back. Goes to c8 in this position. Now, why not maybe stay a bit more central? For instance, queen e6. Well, there's rook to d6. I believe, right around this position here, the black king is safer. And in short, white would like to have a queen exchange. So if you're playing queen e6, you would sort of be inviting a queen exchange. The rook can improve to d6, offer a queen exchange, and we pretty much don't want this as black. We want to keep the queens on. If we go into an ending here, this would be nice for white. A strong rook, strong bishop, healthy development. Excuse me, rook here doubling, rook on the 7th nearby. Black wants to keep the queens on, so goes all the way back here to rank 8. White doubles up the rooks. And from here, let me throw this one too as a pop quiz. How would you respond here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, top move here, sharp follow-up. We see b5. Black's majority starts to roll a little bit. This here is also sort of appealing, knight b4, with this fork. But with a variation like this, in the end, it does say that it's going to be, in this queenless ending, it says it's equal, but white still is up a pawn. I don't know, are we comfortable with that? Maybe not so much. The top move is b5. This pawn is poison. Black is trying to release some pressure, we might say, on c5 by playing this b5 move. The queen plays to h4, and sure enough, pressure released on that c5 pawn. What's the issue with queen takes pawn? Well, that Prins knight would drop back to c7 and land a fork. So queen h4 on board, and only now does the knight hop into b4. Got a fork, a lot of stuff hit here. And at this point, white goes for a sacrifice. It's not sound, and it's now going to require, will require Kasparov to be accurate on more than one occasion. The sacrifice here, move played in the game, is bishop takes g6. Now, what's considered top is to stay central. Bishop e4 is what the computer has its eye on. All right, the try in this one is with a sacrifice on g6. Another pop quiz for you. How would you respond here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, generally we want to take towards the center, but not in this case. The move in the game, f takes g6. If you take towards the center, you're going to get crushed after knight g5. There's not a good way to prevent queen h7 check, this rook d7 idea, combined pressure on these light squares. This would be a winning path for white. So if I play it out just a few moves from here, for instance, rook here, the rook comes down, and next up we're looking at a check, follow up, checkmate. There isn't a good solution to these threats. By taking away from the center, the move in the game, f takes g6, knight g5 could now be met with h6, and there won't be queen h7. What's white's try from here? Well, rook gets on the 7th rank, and now there's a serious threat of queen e7, forming a big battery, crashing through on the 7th rank. Nice defensive move, only one way to defend here and have a decisive advantage still for black. Queen e8 is that move. Follow up from here, rook e7, another pop quiz for you. Feel free to pause the video. What is black's best move? Okay, here we go. Bishop h6 check. Love this move. Take the bishop, I take your rook. What other option does white have? In the game, king b1 is played. If the knight blocks, you go into a pin, the queen could play to d8, increase the pressure on the knight, still keep a watchful eye over the rook. The queen would be, the black queen would be there indirectly defending against queen takes bishop. What's the story after king b1? Well, not the last pop quiz. I think I have just two more for you. Here's another one. What move would you play here as black? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, another star move. Rook d8. No time to take the queen. You're going to get mated. This bishop check has set these ideas up. The knight factoring in as well. Back rank issues. There's only one major piece around to secure this king on the back rank. Rook takes queen, rook takes rook is mate. What's white's try? Rook d6, one final pop quiz. What move would you play here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, another beauty. Queen c6. The queen is poisoned here as well. We have that mate. Also, the queen from c6, from the c6 post, is indirectly there defending against queen takes bishop. If queen takes bishop, the queen is not controlling e4 anymore, threatening a couple mate in ones, but black would be there first. Queen e4 check, and this will soon lead to mate. King c1, mate on c2. King a1, we have this sort of fun, and there we go. Yet again, mate on c2, or b1. So another slick queen move here. Queen c6 right here. What's the try at this point? Well, let's try and get rid of the knight. We now exchange into a much more simplified ending. White gets the piece back. But in the end, black is up a pawn. And it's not just some ordinary pawn. After the move b3, white resigns. This is a super valuable pawn. There's now a mate threat here on d1. What are you supposed to do about that if this game continued? If the queen, for instance, drops back here to e2, there's queen a6, looking at queen a2 mate. If you want to stop that follow-up mate, you would have to go queen e6, getting the queens off. Let's just say this game played out into a queenless ending. So a situation like this, it's not at all fun to have to go completely passive. Right after rook d8, the rook has to fall back to defend the mate. Look at what this pawn is doing. The king is trapped. Bishop controlling this square. You'd have to go completely defensive. Black could improve like this. What are you supposed to do to make progress here as white? Completely bottled up. If the knight moves, you get to the 7th rank. You got no moves pretty much. Maybe you move these pawns, we improve like this. You're pretty much stuck. Improve the king, maybe look to get to the 7th rank like this. Completely passive and a pawn down. This is going nowhere for white. So he just threw in the towel after there was no longer any attack. And this 27th move, b3, was played. Anyhow, what are your thoughts on this one? I really liked how this one was played, this queen move. Queen moves in this one were really special, I thought. Queen b6, f5. How did I play? Queen b6, f6, f5, c8, e8, and finally c6 in this game. And then a little capture in the end here on d6. Nice defensive moves and aggressive moves throughout with this piece. Anyhow, what are your thoughts on this one? Feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.